The Chinese government is now urging their populace to focus more on silver than on gold, to accumulate silver. As Alistair McLeod would say, they have 38,000 metric tons of gold, 18,000 owned by the people and 20 by the state. Now they're saying, look, silver is the place to be, not only from a value standpoint, but maybe it's the Achilles heel of the West. So, I don't know, but I guess I would simply say that to me, silver is the most undervalued, underappreciated asset, and maybe the asset value of a generation. And I don't say that lightly. I don't know if I've ever seen anything that has better supply demand fundamentals. And a lot of that has to do with the suppression and the manipulation, which has created all of these distortions.
While gold and silver price manipulation allegations abound, concrete evidence remains elusive. Many assert that central banks possess both the motive and the means to manipulate these precious metal prices, citing abrupt market movements and the timing of gold sales by central banks as suspicious indicators. AndySchectman, CEO of Miles Franklin, suggests that suppressing and manipulating gold and silver prices serve specific interests, potentially tied to activities within the military-industrial complex and geopolitical dynamics. The recent uptick in silver prices can be attributed to various factors, including geopolitical tensions, global economic uncertainties, hopes for interest rate cuts, and increased industrial demand. Unlike gold, silver holds a unique advantage as an industrial metal, with its prices buoyed by growing industrial usage. Moreover, its accessibility and affordability make it a preferred choice for lower-income groups, particularly in the form of ornaments. Schectman's mention of silver's role in Tomahawk cruise missiles adds an intriguing dimension to the discourse, shedding light on the industrial demand for silver beyond its monetary value. According to the latest World Silver Survey by the Silver Institute, demand for the white metal is projected to reach the second highest amount on record in 2024. Industrial demand is expected to see a 9% increase to 710.9 million ounces, surpassing the previous record set in 2023 at 654.4 million ounces. Furthermore, Schectman alludes to rumors of the Chinese government encouraging its citizens to accumulate silver, potentially signaling a shift in global perceptions of precious metals and their role in investment portfolios. Come along as we explore AndySchectman's valuable insights. Don't miss out on our latest updates. Subscribe to our channel and activate notifications. Thank you for tuning in.
Ask yourself, why would 4 or 5 commercial banks have the short positions, most of them naked in gold and silver, the way that they do, which creates distortions in reality and creates a narrative that, gold and silver are just barbaric relics of the past when we know otherwise. And Bill and Chris know otherwise. And they have stood up not only to the counterintuitive nature, but to the naysayers and to the manipulation and all of the things that, I can understand why Bill gets the way he does or feels the way he does. But yeah, I think he's beginning to feel vindicated, and he's been right. How many people would have thought gold would hit $2,400 when he was writing and it was languishing at $400 and $500? And the same thing will be true about silver when it finally makes its move. And there's so many fundamentals that are growing by the day that you talk about all the time, and I try to talk about that will make that happen. But the one thing that I've learned along the way, is that the fundamentals that we see, the logic, if you will, sometimes has an inverse correlation with outcome, at least in terms of when we think it will. But in the end, when you base your conclusions upon mathematics and economics with a sprinkling of old school logic upon it, typically these things pan out, and we're beginning to see some of that right now. And I mentioned that I always believed there was 500 ounces of silver in a Tomahawk cruise missile. And if you Google it, it will pop up. And I met a gentleman there. In fact, he gave me this cup. He works for the Department of Defense, and he said that he had actually worked on the Patriot missile program while he was up there this year. I gave a different speech this year, but he came up to me in the audience and he said, the things I'm going to tell you are declassified, so don't worry, but I worked on the Patriot missile program, and I got to tell you, you're right. There is nearly 500 ounces of silver in the tip of a Tomahawk cruise missile. And so I find it interesting that the Silver Institute, who I always thought put out really accurate or good information anyway, they omit this. There is no designation for military or aerospace. And when you look at the amount of wars that are being fought, when you look at the amount of munitions that are being made and sold to other countries, whether or not we're using them or not, it becomes very compelling and interesting to wonder, why would a handful of banks be short the level that they are, naked short, to such a degree, maybe the largest concentrated short position on any commodity ever traded on COMEX, why on silver? And maybe when you take a step back and realize there's a very fine line between conspiracy and reality, maybe indeed it has to do with the never-ending wars that the military-industrial complex seems to be waging and or funding. And ask yourself, does it make sense, or is it as dumb as a mud wall to be naked short in a commodity like silver in a monetary environment we have right now in countries like India, buying everything that's not nailed down? And the last thing, and I'll get your comment, is there's rumors all over the internet right now, and people that I talk to who have relationships in China, that the Chinese government is now urging their populace to focus more on silver than on gold, to accumulate silver. As Alistair McLeod would say, they have 38,000 metric tons of gold, 18,000 owned by the people and 20 by the state. Now they're saying, look, silver is the place to be, not only from a value standpoint, but maybe it's the Achilles heel of the West. So, I don't know, but I guess I would simply say that to me, silver is the most undervalued, underappreciated asset, and maybe the asset value of a generation. And I don't say that lightly. I don't know if I've ever seen anything that has better supply-demand fundamentals and asymmetrical risk-reward. What am I trying to say again? Asymmetrical risk-reward background. I mean, you look at it, the downside is virtually nothing. The upside is extraordinary. And a lot of that has to do with the suppression and the manipulation, which has created all of these distortions.
Schectman mentions leveraging blockchain technology for cross-border projects along the Belt and Road Initiative, underscores the growing significance of digital currencies and decentralized systems in global commerce. China's recent announcement of a blockchain infrastructure project to enhance trade and economic connectivity across continents is a testament to its commitment to advancing its Belt and Road Initiative. This ambitious endeavor, known as the Ultra-Large-Scale Blockchain Infrastructure Platform, is expected to play a crucial role in facilitating smoother transactions and information sharing within China's expansive trade network framework. Schectman believes blockchain initiatives could weaken the U.S. dollar's dominance. With blockchain's efficiency and transparency, countries may favor alternative currencies, reducing reliance on the dollar-dominated financial system. A recent trade agreement between BRICS members China and Russia further highlights this trend. The agreement entails using up to $260 billion in local currencies to settle payments in exchange for commodities between the two nations. Under this arrangement, China and Russia will transact in their respective currencies, the Chinese yuan and the Russian ruble, instead of using the US dollar as the primary medium of exchange. Let's get back to the interview.
And I agree. And in a way to do that, a lot what started me really down this path was first the tier 1 revision of gold, and then second the significance of the Belt Road Initiative. And if you study much about the Belt Road, it really dovetails like a hand in glove into the Belt Road, or into the BRICS rather. And because of the infrastructure that is being set up, whether you're talking about everything that we mentioned already with GDP and military might and human population and natural resources and all of those things. But they've also done an amazing job in infrastructure in terms of roads and bridges and maritime channels and ways of industrializing parts of the world that never were industrialized, and doing it in a mutually cooperative way. And again, we talk about settlement, not in the dollar. When you talk about hundreds of trillions of dollars in settlement in other currencies, like I said, China just canceled huge grain contracts with Australia and the United States, and they're buying them from Russia and paying for it in yuan, which is convertible into gold, which is what? The tier 1 asset. And China, and Brazil selling corn and soybeans to China, for yuan, convertible into gold, and all of these trades where even China won a huge contract with Iran to modernize their biggest airport. They're paying for it in oil. All of these things used to settle in dollars. So listen to this regarding the Belt Road Initiative. The Chinese government has just launched a new public blockchain infrastructure platform led by the Conflux Network. The new platform, dubbed Ultra Large Scale Blockchain Infrastructure Platform for the Belt Road Initiative. And the main focus of the project is to create a public blockchain infrastructure platform that will be able to support the implementation of cross-border cooperation projects along the Belt Road Initiative. You're talking 75% of human population, 50% of global GDP just in the Belt Road. And all of the OPEC countries, every one of them on the Belt Road. So you put the OPEC countries on the Belt Road. You got the Belt Road, you got the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which is the largest regional and financial and military organization on the planet, along with the BRICS and the Eurasian Economic Union. They're all the same countries. In fact, the president of Belarus has called for a summit to bring the SCO and the Eurasian Economic Union into the BRICS. I've been saying that for years. It will happen. It's the same countries. You're talking almost 90% of human population and the majority of all the commodities. And now you have not only the majority of all the shipping lanes and all of these new north-south corridor and east-west, all of these corridors that are proprietary, that will only be patrolled by military and commerce, where the U.S. Navy doesn't have access to a lot of this. And now you have a payment system using like the Project M Bridge or this new blockchain for all of these countries. 75% of human population, as is right now, to trade outside the dollar. And that's why I'm very fond of this phrase, little by little, then all at once, logarithmic decay. You know, people are always blowing off and naysaying and poo-pooing. But if you take a step back and look at the changes we've seen in the way that the United States is viewed globally, in the way that the dollar is now lacking in settlement for so many forms of commodities globally, the way that all of these exchanges and infrastructures and you know, whether it be, you know, geographic infrastructures or monetary infrastructures are being set up, that when they flip the switch, the all at once will catch the world by surprise in a massive way.
The U.S. dollar could face mounting pressure as more developing nations align with the BRICS agenda. This trend suggests that the next decade may usher in significant changes in the global financial landscape, potentially leading to a scenario where local currencies gain prominence and strength in the financial sector. Share your perspective in the comments below. If the video resonates with you, join our community by subscribing to our channel and enabling notifications with the bell icon. Thank you for being a part of our community.